Hello everyone. Right now I'm working on modifying my centrifuge, and I'd like to kind of talk about how if you have a home laboratory and you'd like to, build one, a lot of times you end up having to do some kind of like bootleg stuff to be able to afford things. Now, the one thing you don't want to do if you're serious about doing scientific research with your lab and not just experimenting is obviously you don't want to cut corners when it comes to the quality of your work and the accuracy. But there are times where you can cut corners when it comes to building things. This thing is one example. This is my incubator. It literally does the same thing as like a $2,000 piece of equipment, but I built it myself. Another thing I want to show you is this centrifuge. I built this out of a power supply. This is actually the fan of a power supply, a computer power supply. And one thing, and what I do is I hook it up to my bench power supply, and I can, based on the voltage, I can actually adjust the speed, and I can get up to about 180 G's of force. So this centrifuge, one of the issues with this centrifuge is that it was only built to handle these little centrifuge tubes. Now, normally a lab would have different size centrifuges for different size tubes, but I'm not going to spend money on extra centrifuges. This one works fine. What I'm actually doing is I'm actually creating an adapter, and let's see if you can see it there. I'm using pipette tips as a way to inset into these micro centrifuge tubes. And so the idea is that this tube can actually sit right into the pipette tip, and then it sits inside here. And that way now this centrifuge can actually operate both this size tube and these little tiny tubes at the same time. Now, this requires very steady hands because I have to put some hot glue on the tip of this and then put it into the bottom. And then after I do all that, I have to weigh everything and then I'm going to add some silica beads to it in order to get it to be balanced. And I have to get them the right size as well. When you're trying to build a home lab, you have to find out where you can save money and still have the same quality of research capability. Now, in the case of a centrifuge, you have to make sure it's balanced. One of the issues with this centrifuge, however, is the fact that it has an odd number of tubes. It can hold an odd number of tubes. It holds 7. So there's no way to just balance it with 2. Like, there's no way to just put 2 in there, because that's how usually with centrifuges, as long as you have the same size on each side, you're good. So instead, I actually have these tubes in here which act as a balance. And now if I just have a 1.5 milliliters in there, that's fine. Now with these, instead of just making, even though I actually only need 3 for the experiments that I'm doing, I'm making all 7. That way I can put all of them in there and replace the balance with the actual sample, and so I can actually run only one sample and still have it centrifuge properly. I'm not going to bore you with the actual the rest of the construction of this, but anyways, that's enough for this video, I guess. See you in the next one.